Hey guys, Carson here from 98225F. Just thought I'd do a little robot explanation before we tear down our Worlds bot. Worked pretty well at Worlds. Didn't get into Elim sadly, but you know, hopefully there's always next year. Start at the drive base. We are running 3.25 450 RPM, 3-wide drive, so we use the green gears. We don't actually use spacers at the edge of these gears. They just don't go to the end, so we don't need to use the super thin spacers, but it works. We got 6 wheels, 2 in the back for better acceleration, because normally when you have a mobile goal, you're more back heavy, so it just gave us better acceleration when moving around the field, but all the weight was on those wheels. You see we have ODOM here. This is our vertical tracker. It's mounted off the clamp because we were kind of tight on space for this. We had a horizontal tracker in here, but we ended up taking it off because we didn't actually use ODOM for Worlds. Our ODOM kind of completely bugged out and stopped working like 2 days before Worlds. So we ended up having to hard code all of our autos with the motor encoders, which is not preferable, but sometimes you got to do it. So we ended up taking that off so it wouldn't get stuck on the floor tiles or anything while driving. Our ramp also, as you can see, is braced all the way through with one standoff. This way, it wouldn't bend in. We had a problem where we only braced it from here and didn't have this middle one, and it was bending backwards and snapping, so we braced it all the way. We also have a full-length, high-strength shaft across the back for the Mogo to sit on, bracing the entire back. That was one of 2 of our cross members that reached all the way across the robot. Our other one is this one right here. That was the only other one that went all the way across the robot. Onto the clamp. We have a 25mm pistons, 2 of them, pushing down on the clamp. It's passive retraction, so we use rubber bands to retract it instead of having it double acting. This way we can save air, and it works about the same as having it double acting. It's the same speed, and it is still really reliable. We also run auto clamp. We run that off of these 2 distance sensors, or limit switches. The way that works is when both of these switches are pressed, it puts down the clamp. That way we can just back into a goal and it'll clamp it at the same angle every time. This works because our clamp is omnidirectional, so we can run it like from the flat face like most teams do, as well as from the pointy face, and it'll still clamp at the same angle. Even if it's at an in-between angle, it clamps the same. See how it clamps super wonky, which is really nice. It means we can just back into goals at full speed and don't have to worry about lining it up or anything. Next, we can talk about the intake. Intake is run off of one 600 RPM motor right there in the middle. It's geared reverse right here so that the intake direction runs in the same way for the lower stage and the upper stage. We also gear it down for the lower stage, so the lower stage is running at 400 RPM. This gives it better torque when picking up straight from the ground. And one thing we did is we cleaned the flex wheels in between each match. This helped a lot with how sticky they were. Like right now, they're quite dusty, so it doesn't pick up as well, but if you clean them with like a wet paper towel in between matches, it really helps with the pickup. We have a chain tensioner for the bottom stage as well. So the chain runs below this and then above the standoff up here, but this part right here tensions it so that when the intake goes up like this, it'll still run and not get a bunch of chain slop or catch or anything. We also needed a counter roller down here. The counter roller was to help adjust for the super steep angle of the ramps. I don't know if you can see, but our ramps were at like a super steep angle, which wasn't really the best, but we had to do it to make space for the motors, so we decided to put a counter roller in there. This counter roller is chained 1-to-1 from the intake, and it just helps spin the rings up, so like the second the ring starts contacting it, it jets it up and helps the intake move it up into the center area for the hooks. It's quite nice. As you can see, we have our front wedge for the rings in the corner during autonomous. We actually had a wedge that ran all the way across the bot, but it broke in our first practice match, and then the All 3 of the spares we brought broke in every respective match after that, so we ended up just taking one of the broken spares and cutting the broken end off, like it stuck out, and just cut the broken end off, and then zip tied it so that when it got contacted super hard, it had a little bit of play to it. We also put standoff hooks behind it, or screws behind it, so that way it had a little bit more absorption when it came to taking blows. Worked for the rest of the matches, didn't break. It works really well for picking up out of the corner. You just drive up on, slide the top ring off. We also have our little tongue here, as you can see. This was quite common at the state competition we went to, so we decided to implement it for Worlds. This is meant to pick up the 3rd ring in the corner stack, so you just go in on it and it plucks it off, and you back up and it'll just drop it down here. So we're able to go in, grab the bottom ring, back up, pull out the middle ring, and drive forward again and pull up or intake the 2nd ring. This way, we could get a solo auto win point on just one side, just the goal side, without having to interrupt our teammates' autonomous. So that was quite nice. For the hooks, for our hooks, we did something different than most people did for our hooks. We ran single tooth hooks. A lot of teams ran the wide hooks with the triangle shape, but we decided to run single tooth. We've been running this for most of the season, and we did this because it's a lot more flexible. So that way it jams less when scoring, and there's a less likelihood of it getting stuck. It'll just bend away, and it, in my opinion, it helps it score better. I think it makes it score better. Some people don't, but I really think it does. It's helped us a lot when it comes to scoring consistently. We also are running the big flex wheel on the top, or big gear with the 3-inch flex wheels. This is to give the ring a better cushioning when rotating around. As you can see, it has a nice arc to it when it rotates around, and it just goes perfectly onto the goal. This made it super consistent. It was quite nice. We're also, I don't know if you can tell, the wheels are pivoting and running on a standoff. So the top part is completely frictionless. We actually were running the entire intake chained together and everything at less than 4 watts for the entirety of Worlds, which was quite nice. It's super, like if I turn the code off, it's super frictionless, very nice. This has honestly been the best change when it comes to making the intake run faster and more consistently. And this helps adjust for the slop of having it being chained together, because I know a lot of teams ran split intake. Moving on to the Lady Brown. We ran double Lady Brown instead of the casual 360 Lady Brown that everyone else was running. This Lady Brown was longer than most, so it couldn't go 360. That's about as far as it could go. We used every single inch of space we had, but it still scored great, and it, like I said, it's double, so we can hold 2. The way that works, you just input the first one like that, and when driving around, it intakes better when you shake it. But we have these little screws right here on spacers that helps just nudge it in, so that like we can drive around the field with one up and nothing will happen. It'll just be completely static. When it comes to loading double in, we have a separate stage down here. Instead of just copying this first stage and putting a second one in like that, we just created a whole separate mechanism for the second one. So we just intake like this. It's color sorting, ignore that. And it will intake normally like that. Like that. That's how it worked for all of our matches at Worlds, and it's super consistent when it comes to scoring. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. You see, like that, just perfect slide off, and super quick, it's super fast. We got a lot of doubles off at Worlds. It's faster than a normal Lady Brown, which is why we went with it, and it's super fun to drive around with. It has a long reach, so it can reach over like a ring if it's in front of it, which most short Browns couldn't. But because of that, we also had to have a super long aligner. As you can see, our aligner sticks out like well above what everyone else's did. So for the beginning of the match, we had to bend it down like this on both sides. Just go down like that. And that's what this was for. This would pull down and latch around this part right here and then come up like that at the beginning of a match. That worked all but one time in which the zip ties got a little too tight and were squeezing and wouldn't come off, but I think we still won that match. But so that was nice. Lightning McQueen, little homage. But we also tensioned our towers together with this rubber band. This rubber band was just attached, or these two rubber bands were just attached through friction on these two little spacers, and then they have a zip tie bending it down so the ring still has clearance. But this prevented any slop when it comes to the Lady Brown coming from side to side. As you can see, it's a little bent in. That's because we couldn't get it to be frictionless down here and still keep the same angle up there. So with this, it's super frictionless down here and still keeps the same consistent friction up here when intaking, so it wouldn't like change mid-match. On that topic, at the top, we run this on two 5.5 watt motors. Each of them have their own separate screw joint that they run off of instead of having one that goes all the way across. That helps with the friction, like I said. So they're just rotating around this screw, and this side rotates around this screw. And having them powered each side individually makes it so that the torque is still really good when having it be super fast. Because like we're running this at the same gear ratio that everyone else is with their short Lady Browns, and we're still scoring the same speed and having the torque to score too, which is really nice. It works super well for us at Worlds. I'm really happy we got it working. Yeah. The next thing I'd like to talk about, I guess, is some of our code. So we code in Pros with Easy Template. We started coding that at the beginning of this year. It's really helpful because it makes everything a lot easier when it comes to coding autos and whatever other mechanisms we need. Like the Lady Brown is on a PID, so it'll go exactly out to that distance. And it won't like joggle around like our old one would, which is nice. We also run color sort. As you can see, we have these two sensors right here. This one is the color sensor, and this one's a distance sensor. So what will happen is this first sensor will see the color of the ring, and if it's the color that we need to sort, it'll tell or flip a variable, which will say, hey, we need to sort. And the second this one sees something within a certain range, I think it's about that far, it'll notice there's a ring there and be like, oh, okay, we need to sort. And instead of having it like most teams did, where the second they see it, they start a timer and then sort, we have it so the second it stops seeing it, it starts to sort. So our distance was right about there when it would stop seeing the ring, and it would tell it to sort, and immediately after that, the intake would run backwards and flip it off. This is how we got our color sort to be super consistent throughout the season. So like this helped a lot as a driver because I could just intake a ring and know for sure that it would not score if it wasn't the right color. Like I don't think we might have had one time at Worlds where color sort didn't work, but like I can't even remember. It worked super well at Worlds. Props to Alden, our coder. He's the GOAT. But yeah, the super good color sort. We actually also got that hint from sorting when the distance sensor stopped seeing the ring from QQIQ. They made it to Dome. Good for them. They told us about that. That's why their color sort was so good as well. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the Dinkers. So I ran stealing Dinkers for Worlds, and we actually didn't use these in autonomous at all because we didn't have time to code a elims auto, but we just used these for stealing out of the corners. So the angle of the plastic on the Dinker was meant so that if it was tipped up a little bit, it would always go into that position. Like no matter what angle it was at, it would go into this neutral position here. There was a lot of times like if it was in someone's clamp, it would be up like this and it would still go straight in to the it would still go straight into the Dinker, which was nice. And then we have the hooks on the bottom, which means so we can just let go of the Dinker and it will passively go up. It's rubber band force, not double acting, so we can just drive away like this and it works super well. It works super well. We got a couple, I think maybe a couple steals off at Worlds. We used it mainly for coming back for matches. Like if our opponents had gotten a neg on us mid-match, we'd be able to go at the end of the match and put our dunkers down and sneak behind them and then take it out of the corner, or using it for depausing our opponent's corners if we were behind in a match. And this dunker works the same. Just back up. If we want to put it down, just drive out, go like that. Super nice, works super well. Really fun to drive with, and I love the plastic doinkers. We also have the, let's see if I can come down. We have the angle right here, so that if it was down like this, we'd just be able to run into it and it would jump up like that. The angle of that, the angle of the hooks would push it off the ground into the clamp, or into the hook, which would just let it sort better. Or yeah, like sort into the center of the hook. Works super well. Love using it. Yeah. Last thing I guess I'll talk about is the tails back here. We have these tails in the back of our bot that are meant to push the rings away when we have a full goal. So like when we have a full goal, we'll still be able to score, but this will push the topmost ring away from the hook so we can still run the intake when scoring. That way we can still do wall stakes while driving around with a full goal. Generally we didn't. We tried to like score 2 on a goal and then do wall stakes, but if we had to use a full goal or have a full goal in the clamp, we could do that and still score. Worked really well. Loved it. Yeah, I guess that's everything. So yeah, see you guys.